And 3, 2, 1.
This is not my message. I don't know. No.
What is your message, Mr. Khan?
I have to say to him, my name is Khan, and I'm not a terrorist.
Welcome to another edition of Indian Cine-MANIACS. What is going on, Maniacs?
We're back. The Maniacs are back.
We're back.
And we're back every couple weeks. Yep. That doesn't change.
Yep.
How's everybody doing? Everybody good?
Yeah. How about you?
Fantastic.
Good.
Now,
I was a little
up? Thanks for
cold,
asking.
so I put on a sweater.
You what?
I was a little cold, so I put on a sweater.
Okay. Is it cold in Baltimore?
No.
Oh, yeah. No,
He's doing shtick.
Stick?
Sorry, I was saving my shit.
Okay.
Is
so
anybody going to do the dishes at your house, Sean, or are we good?
I think
that was one of my favorite things.
Claudia has already cooked something.
Nice.
But it's possible she'll come down again. She's like, tonight's the podcast.
Not possible. I mean, it's going to
probable.
happen.
She knows it's Tuesday night.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
All right. So tonight we are going to with another viewer pick tonight. We have 2 more viewer picks left. So this is the third. What? We have 2 more left. This is okay. So this is My Name is Khan, correct?
Khan.
And John, you did not have a blurb for this one because everybody recommended this one.
That's right. A lot, and they've been recommending it
He heard
throughout
somebody
the
talking.
show.
A year, yeah.
So it's not like they just waited for the wheel. So that's why I don't have a blurb for it. But everybody said to watch this.
Nothing. They were just asking if you would be doing any dishes.
Take 2. Okay. No. So all right. So we're going to do My Name is Khan. John, why don't you give us a little synopsis?
I'm putting on my glasses. I don't have anything to read.
Okay.
This is a story of Rizvan, I think his name was Khan.
Rizvan, yeah.
Fun.
Who's got Asperger's syndrome. And the first quarter is a love story. And, you see him as a youth and the issues. It's very, I got a very Rain Man, Forrest Gump vibe from this.
Who stars in this one? It's
Shah Rukh Khan.
Oh,
Shah
that
Rukh
guy.
Khan.
And that's why everyone wanted to watch this, because I'm getting ahead of myself. It's his trying to survive in the world, having this Asperger's syndrome. He's a very functioning person with Asperger's, but the thing that happens in this movie is 9/11 happens, and he's living in the U.S. as a Muslim. The second half of the movie is how they perceive the United States responded to 9/11 to the Muslim population.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, because he has Asperger's, his wife wants to leave him because their son dies. And she says to him, and he does everything literally, if you tell the president my name is Khan and I'm not a terrorist, go tell the president that. And if you do that, then you can come back. And the second half of the movie is that quest to either say it to George Bush, or because the election is so close, possibly Barack Obama. And
the best lookalike I've ever seen.
He
Bush. Of Bush.
Well, of Bush,
no,
that was really
not Obama.
Yeah, I didn't think Obama looked like.
My
but,
God, no.
But they got him because he did. He
did
on
the Tonight Show or
He
something.
did the Tonight Show, and that's why they used him.
No,
I think it would have been better if they
you
shot him
couldn't-
from the back.
You couldn't get that I was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
no,
that's
that
what I
could
mean.
not-
Oh,
wow. That was
I think it was
sarcasm.
more
Thank
effective
God.
because remember they had a scene where the senator hit him, and they showed him from the back, and he had the voice, which sounded like Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it took a. I don't think they should have shown him because the guy, the Bush guy, looked like George Bush.
Bush looked like Bush.
Yeah,
This guy did not look like Barack Obama. But anyway, so that's really the story, and it's his journey to do this. And like Forrest Gump, when the scene, it reminded me of when Forrest Gump starts walking across the country and everyone starts responding to it. And it's like this movement. And then it just ends. This is kind of what happens in this film. Now, I've seen a lot of Shah Rukh Khan films, probably more than anybody here.
Yeah.
And I like him. He's a big personality. And I will say this of this film. I really did like his performance in it because it was unlike anything he's done, and it was none of his Shah Rukh Khan shtick either. I mean, it was like Dustin Hoffman and Raymond. He was this person throughout the film, no matter what. It never changed. And I thought he did a really good job in his performance. And I did
How do you think Amir Khan would have done?
Well, I think it would have been
been two of them.
It would have been a completely different movie, I think. My thing.
That's right, he did.
People love this movie, and I have to say, I loved the performance. I loved the first part of this movie, but once 9/11 happens, and then it was just so heavy-handed in the way they did things that, to me, now obviously this is an Indian film made by Indians. So it's not Hindi. It's not an American film, right? So as an American looking at it, I have to admit that there were times in this film where I was a little taken aback by how they showed Americans treating Muslims 6 years after 9/11. And some of it was just so over the top stereotyped that
Was it though?
Yeah, it was, Ralph. You
6
can't.
years after. Well,
It was. Some of the stuff.
were treated pretty
And the
bad.
other thing was the American, and this is something that I found out through one of the viewers. Anytime a film shows Americans, very rarely do they use Americans. They usually use British. I find the acting of the Americans is awful. And in this film, it was no different. They
I
were
made
like,
a note. I
It was
take
like
notes
community
now.
theater.
As I watch these, I
What?
take notes. I take notes. I can't
You
believe
do.
it.
How
It
can
was
you
awful.
drive and take notes? That's
That's
amazing.
tough to do. No, I have a Kindle Scribe now, and it's got
So I was disappointed.
Anyway,
by
let
that.
me
for you,
finish.
Ralph.
Let me finish my
Sorry.
thought.
Sorry.
I had the same thought. The American actors are horrible.
They were, and they
I think they
typically
were
are.
better
The
than
reason-
some other movies.
The
though.
reason I was told was because, and the difference in performances is night and day, right? Whenever they're talking to an American, and they said because they just don't spend any money on the American actors. That's why. So they don't.
It's like
get any-
remember in Die Hard 3, where he gets in the elevator with those big security guards.
Yeah.
And they all have that. They're supposed to be American, but they get
Right.
that weird accent.
Right.
That's what this felt like.
Yeah.
Especially, did this movie start with the scene where he goes to the airport?
Yes,
That's how it starts.
that's right.
Albie.
Right.
So those guys were just like
Right.
those were cliched kind of.
But that was even a setup too, because the way they shot it, they made it look like he was doing something
Of course.
suspicious, right?
Well,
So
because
they-
people are looking at him.
I know,
like he's
but that's
suspicious.
but the way they shot it too, they never showed his face at first. They only showed glimpses of him, right? But anyway, and the other thing was for me, like the stuff in Georgia was just.
Oh my God!
I
We'll
found
get
it-
into that one.
I
We'll
found
get
it ridiculous, and it was like, why is that even in this film? It seemed so out of place, and the laws of time and space do not exist in this film because they were going from San Francisco to Georgia using a teleporter because there's no other way they could get there when they got there. So
Those buses are really fast.
Well,
He
is that
can't
also-
repair anything? So
I mean, is that also how the Indian filmmakers see the South?
well, that's what
I mean,
I think it was a lot of
what was her name in this film? Mama
Nanny
Baby?
Jenny.
Jen.
I'm a Jenny,
Yeah,
And-
Nana
And
Jenny
Smear
or something.
Hair Bad
funny
Hair.
hair Joel or something.
Yeah, and it was just so. It just didn't seem. It seemed so out of place, and it was
It
so.
didn't look like Georgia.
It was if an American ever made a film like that, they'd be accused of being racist for portraying them that way.
Well, we did. It was
Well,
called Forrest
let's
Gump.
just say, I bet you pretty much any film that America shot before 1970 that took place in India probably had the same character.
no, I'm not. I don't disagree.
How about
I'm just-
American film shot in the? Come on.
I'm just
In
saying that was
America.
my. I loved his performance.
I meant in general.
But the
way
film
we do
itself
Indies
just-
is just as cliche.
I had real problems with it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Well, all right. Anybody?
What was
Chris?
your thought, Ralph?
No,
Yeah.
I want to hear other people. Then I'll dive in because
Okay, so it's funny. I haven't seen the Amir Khan film. It's like a remake of Forrest Gump, but
Yeah.
this felt super Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
yeah,
And once I will say, some real highlights was the actress that plays his wife, the mother and the wife. She was
Dara?
fantastic.
oh
Joel.
my god, she plays in movies with him all the
Kajol.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think are they married in real life?
No, she's married to AJ Devgan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, she's
My
a
Talk about a
favorite
power
amazing.
couple.
And when her son dies, right?
Yeah, how'd he die? Was that a soccer ball to the?
He got
Soccer
killed by
ball.
sports.
Ruptured his
Yeah.
spleen.
ruptured
It
his spleen.
his
Yeah.
spleen,
Can happen, especially after a beating.
But when she was just, like sobbing, like
Yeah.
really, really sobbing,
Yeah.
like that seemed very real and very true. So I thought she was terrific, and of course she's just unbelievably charismatic and just,
Wow.
effervescent, right? So she's fantastic.
I could not believe her with him.
Yeah, I had a hard time with that too.
Yeah.
That's why I think they gave her the kid because they're like, hey, if she's divorced with a child, she's gonna have a harder time.
She's a little more vulnerable.
uh,
You'll have
you
a
fall
hard
for
time
that
getting a guy? I don't think
finding
so.
a high level male, right?
Oh boy.
Anyway, exactly. So, but anyway, the point is, but the funny thing about this movie was it really felt like I guess the whole hurricane thing was like, I guess it's supposed to be Katrina, and it's like, so it felt like it tried to do a lot of those things that Forrest Gump did by like pulling in all these little things. But I will say this, I one of the things I did enjoy about the movie, sorry about the dog, one of the things I did enjoy about the film is I am fascinated by watching a movie from another culture portray Americans. It always reminds me of one of my favorite films, Jackie Chan's Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh my God, good call.
If you watch Rumble in the Bronx and you see the way that African Americans are portrayed, that white people are portrayed,
The
it's
gangs dress,
awesome. The
Yeah.
gangs,
the
everything.
mountains in the Bronx.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
What about those mountains
But I
outside
am
of Chicago
fascinated.
in Doom 3?
But I'm fascinated by
Right.
like how people see us, and while in some cases, John, I think maybe some of the characterizations were unnecessarily unfair. At the same time, it is another culture. It is another their take on it. And I'm sure that
I think your dog wants to be on the show.
At least my cat is quiet. Jesus.
I'm passing the baton.
No, that's fine. We're going to hear the dog whether you talk. Oh, you can
Chris,
mute
at least
yourself,
I
right?
gave my granddaughter a paper
I'm muting
plate.
myself.
Okay. All right, Drew. What did you have thoughts? And then
Well, every time that I you think I'm going to watch this movie and you hear the title in your head as you think that. So every time I heard Benedict Cumberbatch from Star Trek Into Darkness going, "My name is Khan." I liked that
good,
movie
Drew.
better than this movie. This movie isn't bad, but it's weird. It's a weird version of all the tonal shifts that we've talked about in a lot of these big
Yeah,
Indian
definitely.
movies. And I mean, I'm with you, Chris. I think it's interesting to see how other countries see us or portray us. And it's very hard to separate the lower quality of acting from what they're portraying. I understand why. The same thing happened in Squid Game. They had a bunch of really wealthy Americans who were betting on it and were exploiting the contestants and stuff like that. And their acting was atrocious. But then I realized I don't really know if the Korean acting was really good because I don't speak Korean. So the Indian actors, they actually go back and forth into English so much that I get a sense of okay, I feel like I can judge that this is a good performance. But the biggest thing I got out of the movie is it was like Forrest Gump mixed with a after-school special about racism. That's fine, but I didn't find that super compelling because I don't like Forrest Gump. When I thought on the show we were going to watch Lal Singh Chadha, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I was both excited and upset, and then we ended up not doing it, and that's fine. But this was one of those movies that, as we said, people have been telling us to watch for a long time. A really long time, and so I'm glad that we watched it. It might be my first Shah Rukh Khan, and he certainly does it. But he also has, he has movie autism, So it's very specific, ticky things, and it's he's got superpowers. He can find animal names and fix anything and all that kind of stuff. And that's not realistic. Like, like A Beautiful Mind or something like that. I don't care about that kind of thing. But I have to say, at the end of the day, I didn't get bored. So I guess that's good.
Okay. Oh, that's arousing. Yeah.
That's going to be on the posters.
I didn't get bored, said a white person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange. I had strange mixed feelings about it. I don't think I've seen any films with him in before. Have we? I don't think we have.
He's a
I don't think
giant
we have
star.
on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think we
So
have.
so this is my first foray into this guy. Now I understand he's very charismatic and he does all kinds of great stuff. And you start.
It's like
thinking
you've
about him.
only seen Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man.
Yeah, I mean it's
Right.
it's such an acting thing, and I always, whenever I see these guys do it now, I go to Tropic Thunder, that thing that Robert Downey explains about.
Oh yeah.
You can't go full, right? That's all I can think about because, it was funny. I said to Maria as I was watching it, I go, and John, you can tell me whether this is bullshit or not, but it seems like an easy acting thing to do because you don't have to relate to the person you're acting with, because you can be looking off and doing your tics and all that stuff, but you don't really have to connect with the other actor.
No, I don't think that's fair.
It's not. It's
Okay, it
not.
may
It's
not be
not
fair.
easy. No, it's not. To maintain that, and also make the choice. Like in Rain Man, that's the thing I really liked about Rain Man. They could have easily made him really connect with Tom Cruise at the end, as opposed to the little. I mean, how they connected was they put their foreheads together at the end. That was it. He was the same character at the beginning of the film as he was at the end. Khan did the same thing. And a lot of Hollywood movies, they're going to change that character. So it's not easy to do what he did, maintaining that the whole time.
Not
he was-
looking at
he
the
injured
audience.
himself.
Focus thing.
Except
He
in
did.
but in Rain Man, when I remember watching that in the theater, and I remember thinking like this, I liked this movie and it's Barry Levinson and all that kind of stuff. Tom Cruise is the compelling part of the movie.
Listen, I
And
said that
this
before.
this movie is they took
He is
the
a great performance.
Raymond and made him the main character, and
Right.
that is, I didn't feel like put off emotionally by him or anything, but I really felt like I'm watching acting, and that just kind of keeps me out of the.
Yeah, that's what
out
I'm
of the
talking.
movie.
That's
Yeah.
how I felt.
Not
No,
that
man,
it's
I mean-
easy to do that. They, like you said, John, they have to commit to that. And
Yeah.
I think that you're acting in a way where you have to, as an actor, consciously not connect with someone.
That's right.
And that is a specific kind of performance challenge
Well,
and all that kind of stuff. But it
Bobby
doesn't feel
is-
real.
Just so you guys know, Maria agrees with you guys because she said, no, you can't. She has to. I mean, what he's doing is hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Ben Stiller did in Tropic Thunder, a Simple Jack, that wasn't hard to do. But it was mostly the costume.
But again, to be fair to Shah Rukh Khan's a big, I've never thought of him, although Swadish is a movie that I thought was his best performance. He's a big personality, and when he's in a film, it's Shah Rukh Khan. You know what I mean?
Right.
This
He's a movie
was
star,
not
yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan. He didn't do any of the stuff he does in his regular movies, and it was the most complete performance I've seen, where I thought Swadish was the most realistic performance compared to his other stuff. His stuff is big and over the top, but it's big personality stuff. I'm trying to think of an American actor who's like that, where it's not really acting; it's just him.
Well, there are people like The Rock.
Any
Yeah,
John
The Rock.
You know,
Wayne.
like you know what you're getting. It's a
Bill
specific
Murray. Bill
personality.
Murray's
Yeah.
a him.
Bill
Bill
Murray.
Murray does a lot of that. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's kind
So-
of always that guy with that attitude, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing. I don't know if you guys saw in the opening credits, because some of the way that the story is told, it's like the most obvious choices, and it's not that surprising, and that's not good or bad. That's just sort of the way it is. They had a credit in the beginning for Sid Field, story consultant.
I know. I couldn't believe it. Sid Field.
And Sid Field is like the guy who wrote, I guess, really, I don't know if it's the first one, but it was the first.
It was the first one I read.
Yeah, it was the first sort of "This is how you write movies" screenwriting.
Oh.
And so long before you had to save a cat or any of that, Robert McKee lunacy or any of that stuff, it was Sid Field. He was the guy that you got that book, and then you would learn how to write a screenplay, and that's like kind of what it felt like they did. Again, that's not good or bad, but that's like proto regular people can write a screenplay kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Well,
Go ahead, Sean.
I think I like this film best of everyone here.
Wow. It sounds like you.
You know, I like Shah Rukh Khan. I thought the girl was very fetching. She was amazing. And I only got disconcerted about the way Americans were treating Muslims when you realize that this is at the end of the Bush administration. That means, because you look at it, it's 9/11, and you're getting the assumption, because the kid was, well, they didn't tell how many years they'd been married before 9/11 happened. But, you know, the kid was 3, I think, was 9 and was 13 when he died or something, if the dates were correct. And it's like, was he wandering the country for 5 or 6 years? And you know, and I don't think we can deny that there was a lot of anti-Muslim hostility after 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still might be a little.
A little, but not to the
Well, but
Not
what's the last year? So this is Obama was the latest on this. So that's what 2008.
2008 is when he
That's
got
right.
elected.
Right.
So that's 7 years.
Yeah, but that's not that long in the whole scheme of things. That's
Also,
not,
remember, we
I
were
mean,
at war in
not if you look at the
Afghanistan.
Roman
That's what
Empire.
drives his friend. His friend's father dies in Afghanistan, and so he's like, you know, Muslims killed my dad.
Right,
That's
right.
that
That's
kind
what-
of
that's what triggered
simplistic
the soccer
hate,
ball
like,
attack.
that's not unrealistic, you know. So I think, you know, that's the thing about the movie. They're so explicit
Right.
about everything. There's not really any mystery to unpack or what's that person's real motivations or that kind of stuff, and that makes it feel less real. I mean, there was stuff in it that I thought was interesting, like the relationship between him and his brother is colored by something that the movie doesn't need to be about this, but I thought it was neat that they touched on it. If you have a family where one of the children has a serious disability, there's a kind of neglect that happens to the other kids because they don't need as much support. So then they get less support than they need. And his adult brother, like, that was part of his relationship with Khan. And I thought that was interesting because that felt like real people things.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really do other stuff like that throughout the movie. You know,
was
he
his
became
the
like
brother's
Forrest Gump. So.
was the brother's wife an American woman or was she?
Was she an American Muslim woman?
She was an
Or did
American Muslim. She was born in New York, they said.
Okay.
Was she born a Muslim or did she convert? I don't remember.
I don't know if she
that's
converted.
said.
Now, couldn't all this tragedy been avoided if they were just calling him, you know, you're a terrorist, and he could have just said, hey, I'm a Hindu.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because
But
there
they
is,
were Hindus.
but there's a depiction of what they think Americans understand about
Yeah.
Indian people and Islam. Like American people don't know anything about that Khan means Muslim. They don't know that. They don't call people bloody Pakis. Like some of that stuff, it's like this is you're looking at America, but it's still too much of what you know because I don't give Americans as much credit because, and it's discussed in the movie, but you know. But the day after, a Sikh guy got murdered because some American was mad and said, "There's a turban. It's a Muslim. I'll kill it." Like that's how sophisticated some of the people are that hate Muslims, and they don't really bother to learn that this name means this. I mean, I don't think of Indians the same way that people think of people from Afghanistan or Saudi Arabia or whatever in this context, and I don't think most Americans would put them all together like that.
Yeah.
Well, that threw me out a little. I'm sorry, Chris. Let me when that kid was beaten up on him and he called him a stinking packy. That thing he said. That didn't sound right coming out of that kid's mouth.
Because he's not British and
right.
racist.
We would never say that. That was in the beginning of the Bohemian Rhapsody film when he was throwing luggage down. That's what they were calling Freddie Mercury.
Oh, is that
But
what they
anyway,
were calling him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway.
no, that's the thing. There are specific insults that you would say that
but
this
not
tells me,
not an American
this tells me the
teenager.
period that I'm watching, and that's
Right.
not an American thing ever.
No. That's
You'd
what I
hear
mean.
that
All
in,
the
in a
Americans
lot of
had
other
that
stuff.
weird kind of just not quite right. I mean, it was not and then like I said, you go to the South, the South Carolina thing, wherever Georgia. It's like, oh my God, what?
Well, but that may be how they see us. That we're not
That's
quite
what I mean.
right.
Right.
And that's
Yeah, I
not-
just didn't see
that's
that.
fine.
That's legitimate.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chris. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say that I'll give the from the perspective of the filmmakers and the attitude and kind of maybe whether it was more perceived than it was in actuality. Obviously, there's plenty of real, honest to God anger and fear of Muslims in this country.
Of
Let's
course,
be
yeah.
realistic. There is.
Sure.
And it's happened well after Obama was in office. And in fact, but so I mean, I think a lot of that, that's I think it from a Indian perspective or an Indian filmmaker's perspective, who's has a main character who is a Muslim. It's one of those things where I kind of get the amount of fear that they put into it, because sometimes fear can seem more elevated. Not to say that plenty of Muslims haven't been in plenty of unbelievably terrifying and violent and dangerous situations, right? But a perfect example. This was years ago, but not that many years ago at my old job. A guy I was working with, seemed like a perfectly normal guy. He had made some comment, and I was like, that guy's Indian, right? He's not a Muslim. And he's like, it's all connected. He literally said,
Well, but an Indian could be a Muslim, and Americans
Yeah,
don't
it's
even parse
interconnected.
that.
and it's funny because, well, I mean, it just happened to be the guy was the Sikh. He had a turban and
No, I know. I'm not. Yeah.
no, but I was like, he's not a Muslim. I think he was Hindu, and I was like, he's Hindu. He's like, it's all connected. And like, I literally was like, at that point in my, and he was perfectly happy saying that in the middle of a hallway of our company, which was, I will say, an amazingly diverse company. Just it made for great potlucks, actually. But we had a really diverse company. But it was one of those things, and that's something that stuck with me, because this guy, in dealing with me, another white dude, was completely normal, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like an average guy, go have a beer with, all that kind of stuff. And then like there was like this whole other, under thing. And I could see, not that I've ever experienced this, but as a person who is a Muslim, you always have to think, what do they think about me when I walk out of the room? Do you know what I mean? And like I said, so I mean, I do have some.
Listen,
You
we
know,
still have
For the
people in this
filmmakers, I
country.
get why some of that happened. Like,
We
why
still have
some of
people
them-
in this country saying Barack Hussein Obama
course we
because
do.
the Hussein is that's the important name that they want to get out there. So
Yeah,
I
they
mean, I'm
wanna-
saying the Americans in this film are caricatures,
Yes.
but I think the sentiment is real, and I think like you were saying when that kid's father got killed, his was a natural response to like, oh my God, it's your fault that my dad's dead.
Right.
Then the bullies just, the soccer ball killing was, whatever. But, I thought the actress playing his wife or girlfriend or whatever, she was amazing. That scene she does where the kid's laid out in their house.
Yeah, that's amazing.
She does a great job. Now, would she ever be with a guy like this, Khan? Khan. I can say it right, Khan.
From the epiglottis.
From the Epic. I don't know if she would be with him. But
He showed her
Wouldn't
something
be with
she hadn't
me.
seen in San Francisco.
I did like the fact that she paid off because at the beginning I'm like, my name is Khan, I'm not a terrorist. I'm like, how is this gonna? And then the fact that they show that in the middle of the film, that she's the one that said, if you get the president, if you can say that to the president, then you can come back. That was pretty touching. That was, to me, was a turning point in the film for me. It's like, okay, now I can see the stakes that are going on, and she laid the stakes out.
And it was good when he saw her after he was released from prison, but didn't go to her.
Right, because he hadn't completed
Because
the
he
mission.
hadn't fulfilled what he had wanted, even though she was obviously there for him.
I mean, it was right on, hitting you right over the head, but and the
Well-
torture stuff and all that stuff. But
Well, I could just say my aunt married a Muslim from Iran, and his perception of America was always, anytime anything happened in the world that was unsettling, he was always like, CIA. It's the CIA. And, because then you would think he was like a crazy conspiracy guy. He was actually a really well-respected teacher in this country. But when you look how the CIA had intervened during his lifetime in Iran, with coups and, things like that, you could see that, it's easy to see why a guy from Iran would be very suspicious that the CIA is behind everything. And I think this movie is kind of like what Chris was talking about, like when a Muslim guy leaves the office, he probably wonders what people think about him. And this is the reverse. This is kind of like what they think we are like, which is probably why they wanted us to see it, because this is like an Indian mirror on their perceptions of the United States. And I've been reading Indian newspapers about, like, international issues and all, and the conflicts between the United States, and also the things that are bringing us together, mainly fear of China expansionism and all. But it's like, India has resisted us for a long time because we have kind of a bullying world power viewpoint that you got to fall in line with us on everything, even if it's not necessarily in India's best interest. And also, I can understand this, but I will say I was very touched by the relationship. Sorry, they're screaming here. It's
Is that
not
your house?
Yeah, that's my house.
Oh.
And
Is
that's
everybody
like
okay?
screaming. She's talking.
They're just
to my
children. They
granddaughter,
make a lot of
talking with
noise.
her friends. Somebody must have told her something funny, but it's. I was very touched by the relationship between the husband and wife, and I thought the scene, as you're talking about with the body, was very good. I thought the scene where she kicked him out was also, to me, very realistic out on the soccer field. I could definitely see that happening. And I will say, I'm going to confess, I got a little teary-eyed when they got back together again. But of course, that wasn't enough. She had to get stabbed,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Twist.
yeah, a little twist. If he twisted the knife more, he probably would have died. But I thought it was an interesting thing we're not bringing up is that he turned on the Muslims he met at the mosque.
Oh yeah.
So he was looking at. So in addition to saying that all these Americans are like, I wouldn't say they were saying Americans are evil, just ignorant, perhaps.
Bigots.
Well, listen, every time he went to pray, like now I get she was Hindi, right? And he was Muslim.
She's Hindi, he's Muslim, yeah.
Right. So I was like, why is he's setting himself up to sit and pray, like the bus stops. He's at the bus stops and he's trying to find where to pray and all that stuff. And they're doing that so that when he does turn against the other Muslims, we as Americans go, oh, this guy's a hero. This guy is and it's that's what I mean. This movie just manipulates. But
Well, it's an Indian movie, and the tonal changes.
I understand. I'm
like, oh, they're going to have to kill the kid. I'm like, that is
I
just
didn't expect that. I didn't think that kid. I guess I did because the last thing she said is, "You're my pride and joy," as he's putting him out the door to go to school. I said, "Oh boy."
Yeah, I started to worry it was going to turn into Pay It Forward or something, and that it was better than that. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, I'm Jewish, and I know that feeling of wondering what people think when you're not there. And I've said for many years and been told I'm paranoid. Things that I believe are true, like I'm white in America until the white people say I'm not. And if you look at what's happened since October 7th across the political spectrum, universities, all these kind of things, they're saying that Jewish people are different. And we are in many ways, but Jewish people are different and not the default the same way as Muslims or black people or any of these other groups of people. And I haven't said this on the show yet, but this is a good opportunity, and I thought I might say this during the movie. Hindu people of India have been very, very supportive of Israel, and I've actually gotten some nice messages from fans of the show, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that people aren't afraid to say publicly or to privately express that they know that this happened, they know that I'm Jewish, and that this is a very painful time, and that they're just thinking about me, and that they stand with Israel and they stand with me, and I think that's very, very kind. But I also think that this movie is about people coming together, I guess, to save a little black town or something in Georgia, and that feels, I hate to say it, less realistic than ever. I don't think you'd make this movie today between what's happening with nationalism in India and the rest of the world. I don't think that people would watch this movie as hopeful, because the movie is hopeful.
Yeah.
The movie is saying a person can make a difference, and there's only good people and bad people, which of course the real world is more complicated than that. But I think the movie is kind of sweet, even if it's not real. So I got irritated when it wasn't realistic, but I know that it meant well.
But I felt like Forrest Gump, when I saw Forrest Gump the first time, I was like, this is an amazing film. And then retroactively, I've come to hate that film because of the cliches and just come on, it's ridiculous. And I think I was leaning towards this one for the same reason. It's like, why does he have to be autistic? I mean, or not autistic or Asperger's. Why couldn't he just come in and be, just my name is Khan, I'm not a terrorist. But they add the Asperger's just to make us even more like sympathetic to the guy. And I mean, he was basically stalking that woman, the girlfriend and the hairdresser.
Yeah.
All the marry me stuff.
He's popping up everywhere. Like she's turning around. He's there. It's like, oh my God.
All she had to do was put on a yellow scarf and he would have been gone. So.
I have mixed feelings about it because I did get caught up at the end when he met Obama and that whole thing. That was kind of, I mean, I got a little choked up by that because he was a hero and
it's an Indian movie. It's really earnest.
Yeah.
It's got broad sentimental stuff in it. It's a very Indian version of this kind of story, and that's fine. That's good.
Right.
So Ralph, you're telling me you never stalked a woman?
Jesus, Sean. Not on purpose. I might have
Ask him how many women have stalked him.
That's a different problem.
Yeah, that's a problem you don't complain about.
Yeah, I don't.
No, you do.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, you don't want that, Sean.
Yeah, that's not true. But no. So should we rate it, or anybody else have anything?
Well, I just want to say, did I say I actually got teary-eyed at the end? Did I mention that?
Yes, you did mention that.
So
I think we didn't hear of the screaming though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I set my audio so I could hear you over dishes. I wasn't ready for screaming.
Yeah.
So, I think I liked this movie best of the group, but I'll be curious to see how many Ledoux it gets. Are we still doing Ledoux?
Well, that's how we're going to rate it. Yeah.
We're going to put it under the tree?
Weren't they feeding Ledoux to each other in this one?
Sweets. They were feeding them sweets.
They
didn't say Ledoux.
They didn't say Ledoux, but it looked like Ledoux.
They might have been.
But he didn't want her to get fat. Don't get
right.
fat. He said,
Well, that's
was
the
very
American.
truthful.
he's so funny. That's so funny. Don't get fat.
very
Don't eat
truthful.
that. That's what I mean. I mean, there's parts of this movie, and the whole Georgia thing just took me.
That was
took me.
unnecessary.
It was very
I
cartoonish,
felt that was
Come on,
unnecessary.
that's like you can't do.
Well, they kept saying too,
Plus-
the government's not around to help. They
Yeah.
kept saying that over and over again. The government's not around to help. First of all,
Well,
in a
that's
situation like
I
they
mean-
were in, it would never happen like that.
That
Listen,
did happen.
It already did happen. It happened with Katrina.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean,
That's why they said it.
You look at a story like that and you want to go, like, he wouldn't need to do that. FEMA would be there. But FEMA didn't go and help people in New Orleans for a long
20
time. Like, that
people
wasn't unrealistic.
Walked up with up to their waist in water.
Yeah,
Bringing
it was
the
silly.
boxes.
It was
Yeah,
silly.
that
But it was
silly.
like
But I
people will come together and help each other. Like, isn't that nice? Sure. It's nice.
Because one thing I thought about that whole sequence was, I was like, so if they're trapped, and if all these people could just kind of come in together and get them, could they have just gotten out
Can't
on
they
their
just
own?
get out? Right.
I mean,
No, instead they're going to stay. They're going to stay in the church as the church is collapsing
Well,
around.
some of them are older and some of them
Listen,
are injured.
the
and
kid
for
get
some
killed-
reason, they don't have any votes.
The
so.
kid with a soccer ball. He got killed
You
with a
keep
soccer
wanting to
ball.
say that. Death by
I mean,
soccer ball.
It's death by soccer ball. I said, are they really going to do that? They're really just going to kick him? He's going to lose his spleen or whatever. Yeah, they did
The
that.
spleen ruptured.
I get
They'll
it.
do it.
And then Reese kept his mouth shut the whole time.
That kid's
little
gonna have a good soccer
red-headed.
career.
Hey,
Yeah, fuck that kid.
Stitches.
An asshole.
Snitches get
Baltimore.
snitches get stitches. Yeah, that kid got a good soccer career after this one. He could boot that thing through anything.
Well, he's got to serve his time first.
Yes. All right. Let's
We
rate
literally
it.
watched four
Sean.
teenagers
Let's
kill a
start with
kid.
you. I want to start with Sean since this is going to be the.
Is it 4 out
It's
of
5. We do this every time.
It's not
what time?
Ebert Ledoux.
What time does
It's
the
5.
podcast start? And how many Ledoux? It's 8 o'clock
how many
and 5.
Ledoux?
5
Can I
Ledoux.
talk?
Scale?
Can I
What's the
talk during the
system we
first 3,
use?
2, 1?
Oh my god.
Can we talk? I'm going to give it 3.5 Ledoux.
What? Wow.
Okay.
And you really liked it.
Touch. If I get teary eyed, it means it worked.
Well, based on that, I'm my okay, John. I'm
You know, I'm going to give it a 3 only because as a Shah Rukh Khan fan, and I am a fan, and I understand why people love this performance because it is so different from his films, and I do appreciate that. I thought the film was okay, but I'm not going to lie, and again, looking at it through American eyes, I was very defensive about how over the top some of the stuff. And let me just explain one thing. Part of the reason why I had this impact, 9/11, I was in Minneapolis. So I had to drive home. Took me about 3.5 days to get home. And that was pretty, the memories of that are like burned in my brain. And I traveled all the time. And I remember 2 weeks after 9/11, I had to get on a plane. And I remember walking down the aisle of the plane, and I never have done this before. And I started to look at people, and I started to think about worrying about people. And then when I sat down, what I was so angry about was that this attack made me think that way, a way I've never thought in my entire life, and I hated myself for that it came to that.
But that's natural. You can't blame
I'm just
yourself
saying,
for that. You can't blame yourself for that.
No, but I did. So to see,
But weren't you actually on that flight
the week before? I took the LA flight.
That
the
actual
week
flight.
before, that actual flight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's
And I had because I traveled all the time. I had 50 voicemails. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
No, and it was very driving home by myself. It was like very upsetting.
Yeah, but you shouldn't. That's a natural reaction.
I know, but what I'm saying
You
is
were also
that's-
told to do that. You were told
Right.
to look out.
well,
for
that's
stuff.
that's right.
So,
but
you know,
I was pissed at
See something, say
me
something.
and what
Right.
they made me
see something, say something.
change.
Exactly.
And I never looked at people that way.
but that's what terrorism is. It makes
I
you
know.
afraid.
I
That's
know.
the whole point.
And that's
so
why-
it made us afraid and
Right.
made us people were unified in ways that I hadn't seen in my lifetime,
Right.
but it also divided people
Right.
from the beginning, and that's what you were feeling. And I think it's nice that you as a person felt that and said I don't like feeling like that, because lots of other people clearly just embraced it.
right.
And that's really unfortunate.
Right.
But
That's
it
why
is really it's kind of a strange thing to have something like that happen and to disrupt your own life to that extent. Like I can fly anywhere. Well, now I can't. Now I have to drive home. That's a completely different kind of trip, and
Right.
you were going to think about things differently. And I don't know if you stayed at any hotels where people had marriages for one night, but that was popular in this film. So remember? So
yeah.
I hope that you had a nice trip.
Anyway,
Of
so I give
course,
it
the
3.
one film
3
I
letters.
wanted to see, but they shelved, was the one where, what was it? Marlon Brando, Elizabeth
Batgirl?
Taylor, and Michael Jackson were all in New York, and they decided to go drive home together, just the three of them. And they made the film, but they had to shelve it because of opposition from Jackson's family, because he was played by a white man. So
Is this real?
What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
there was a story in you haven't heard about this movie?
Yeah,
I
no,
haven't-
yeah, it's a real
No,
thing.
there was a story in Vanity Fair about it. Michael Jackson was friendly with Elizabeth
Yes,
Taylor
that I
and
know.
Marlon Brando. They were all in New York on 9/11, and they couldn't get out. Even being celebrities, they couldn't fly out. So they decided to drive home, just the three of them, no retainers or anything. So you can imagine driving around with Michael Jackson, Elizabeth Taylor, and Marlon Brando. And they made a movie of it. I think it's Rafe Fiennes or Joseph Fiennes. One of them played Michael Jackson in the movie.
Oh,
I
right.
never
He
heard
got in
of
trouble
that.
for that too. He's apologized. He's since apologized for that.
Yeah. He didn't put on blackface or anything.
But still, you
Who played Michael Jackson?
Joseph Fiennes, he was the
Joseph
Shakespeare
Fiennes.
and Shakespeare in Love,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Rafe's brother.
No,
really.
really.
Oh,
okay.
Elizabeth, Michael, and
let's
Marlon.
not
I've never heard of
relitigate
that.
9/11.
That's crazy.
If that's okay, even though this movie did that. But
Well,
what
I'm
I'll
just
say
telling you
about the
why it made
American,
me feel the way I felt.
the sentiment was correct. The actors were terrible expressing that sentiment because Anyway, I based on Sean's 3.5 Ledoux, I'm going to 1.5.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Did you
And-
raise it or lower it?
No, I lowered it because I was at 3. But based on yours, because you loved it, I'm going 1.5.
I didn't say I loved it. I just said I think I liked it more than everyone else.
Okay, you did. So that lowered
You're
everything.
3.5. You keep forgetting it's 3.5 out of 5. You probably scored it at 3.5 out of 4. in your
Yeah,
own
you were
head.
probably
So you
maybe.
really liked
So you
it.
lowered mine, but
That's okay.
she was great. I thought the actress was
Oh, yeah.
terrific, and I'd like to see
Wonderful.
more stuff with her in it. I'm sure there's tons of it. But
If you read the reviews, she gets trashed.
I don't understand
Really?
that.
Yeah, the Indian fans do not like her. They think she's too
Interesting.
wide-eyed.
Oh, that's what's great.
Oh, that's what I love about
They
it.
made
but they also isn't he like he's beloved, right? I mean, he
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So, Sean and I'm sorry, Drew and Chris, what's your ratings?
True.
I mean, 1.75 Ledoux. I think your 1.5 is got a little more. I don't know, distaste for the movie than I have, but I did not like it. So
I'm going to give it a solid 2.5, right down the middle. Like I said, there's some parts I enjoyed. I kind of, from a sociological standpoint, I enjoy that because, and the way I look at it is, and John, I probably got a little less defensive of you because the way I look at it is, American filmmakers don't get a lot of the foreign cultures they represent right, and they didn't.
That's fair.
And while
point.
I think that in truth there was, there is a lot of legitimate fear and all that they put in there. Like you said, just the poor acting really does.
That's all that bothered me. I didn't mind.
out.
Like I said, I didn't mind the sentiment. The sentiment is real.
Yeah.
It's real.
But so
But-
and like I said, it's it's hard to know. But like I said, I find that fascinating. It's like I said, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is much more serious than Rumble in the Bronx, but I still kind of felt like that bit about it. But and I really thought her performance was the best part of the movie. I'm surprised that she got that she was hammered for that.
Yeah.
yeah, I
It was-
didn't know that either.
Even the people
Well,
who
look,
loved
Chris, it's possible that not every movie can depict American streets as realistically as Streets of Fire, and that's just okay.
That's
Rock and roll.
That movie's
By the
practically
way-
a documentary compared to this one.
Well, the
Totally.
Warriors.
By the
Totally.
way, I thought the scenery, I thought they did a great job with San Francisco. It's been a long time since that city's looked so good on film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shot of the city coming through the clouds is
Yeah.
very pretty. The way they set that scene up, it was very sweet.
Well, that's why that's
They
how
took
they got
full
married.
advantage of the locations.
Yeah.
And that, what to me, enhanced the movie as
See,
well.
that's what I mean. That guy's like magical. He's he could do anything, and so. All right. Well, so we have two more on the wheel.
Wait a minute, John didn't give his dues,
I
did
thought he did. He said
Yeah, he did.
Three.
Trey Ball.
Because of the
Oh, okay.
performance. I enjoyed the performance.
John's an actor, so he really gives these guys a break.
No,
which is nice.
no, that's not why. It's just compared to all his other films. I mean, he created a character. Whether you like the
John,
character
you and
or
I
not.
should do a little video where I play Asperger's and I try.
You
that.
couldn't
See-
do it.
see
Yeah,
if I can
don't do
pull it
that.
off.
You couldn't do it.
Really, don't do that.
I probably shouldn't, right?
Don't do that. No.
I'm telling you, it's like people playing blind. Al Pacino was fantastic playing blind, and he didn't do most of the stuff that people playing blind do. Like he didn't want to wear the glasses.
Did
He
you
just-
know that his brother was in A Wednesday?
Al Pacino's brother?
No, the brother Khan's brother.
Shah Rukh
was in
Khan's
A-
brother.
was in A Wednesday. He
What-
was one of the cops, one of the super.
Oh,
cops.
really?
Did not
And
know
also the other one we saw where they go and they rob everybody's house.
Yeah.
What was that? I forget. Was that what was-
Special 24. Oh,
right? He's. I
yeah.
think he's in that one too. He plays the
Shah
the
Rukh
cop-
Khan's brother.
the guy playing Shah Rukh Khan's brother,
Oh, Jimmy Shergill.
Jimmy Shergill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jesus, I'm talking.
What?
Ralph, make sure you go close up on that one because
No, I can't.
I mean, I don't know where the hell
my
you're going with
producer.
this.
My producer left the room.
Didn't you guys think he was talking about Shah Rukh Khan's brother?
Yeah.
I
not
said
the
the guy who
character?
played Shah.
I
you
still
said
think
Shah
he
Rukh
was.
Khan's
Jimmy
brother.
Khan.
I still think he was.
The brother in the movie. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
Oh,
We're
the one who
talking
looked
about
like Barry
movies.
Pepper.
Zahir.
Yeah, Jimmy Siegel. What's his name? Jimmy what?
Zakir. He looked like Barry Pepper, but
He
Yeah,
did.
he did look like Barry Pepper.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
The guy who owned the beauty products.
Yeah, Jimmy Shergill. is his name.
Menos.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We got that was awesome. 2 films left. Let's see. Okay, we got 2. Here we go.
Kahani and A Death in Gunji. Akshat 1260 and Arvind Danadandan. That's a long one. Kahani.
A Death in
A Death in Gunji.
Boy,
All right.
I'm glad I wasn't
Right,
talking
a Death
during
in
this
Gunji.
thing.
That's Akshat 1260.
Okay.
Short
Can,
and sweet,
can I
too.
just say a death in Ganja? Let me see where that's playing.
What the description?
It's on Prime Video.
His pitch is short.
Nice.
Is the movie short and sweet, or is it another
It's an
Any
hour
of these
50.
short and sweet? What?
hour
It's an hour-
50?
It's an hour
Oh, man.
50. Yeah.
So it's
I'm
a
gonna
short.
watch that as soon as I get
a
off
road
this
trip.
As soon as I get off
Yeah.
this call.
Oh, by the way, I do want to say I'm going to be posting it on some of the things. I finally come up with my list of my top 10 Indian films. And
Oh, that's great. You've been talking about that for almost a year. That's great.
yeah. It took me a while.
Yeah,
I had
I know.
some distractions.
Seen a lot of
know.
films.
This film did not make it.
What? You gave it 3.5 Ladus. It's not on there. I'm
at
interested to see
5,
that.
Ralph.
That'd be good.
Yeah, I'd
now,
be curious, too.
can you bring clips from each of the movies you picked?
Ooh, no, but I on the blog I do put our podcast. So if people want to learn more about,
Are you saying you did this on your blog? You're going to do this on your blog?
do it on the blog.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you were going to do it for us.
I may do a short, maybe.
Well, he'll link
Okay.
to us.
Ralph, why don't you produce? Why don't you produce a show and let him give his list in his show?
I think he's right. He should do a short.
Yeah.
So, all right. So next week we're doing, thank goodness, the last of the Lord of the Rings on the Yippee-Ki-Yay podcast. I don't know what more, Chris. I hope you're bringing a lot to the table on this one.
Well, I'm gonna,
because I don't know what else we can talk about.
So much.
Go through it
Well,
scene
I
by
believe,
scene. That's by
Sean,
scene.
did you watch the extended version?
I'm watching the extended.
Okay,
version.
I
so
will too.
Drew, and I watched the extended version. Chris, you watched the extended. So there's going to be plenty to talk about.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Because I'm not watching the extended version.
Which is why when you come on, we'll paint a picture with words.
I can't
of
wait
what
to. I
you've
can't
missed.
wait to see that painting.
Hopefully my Frodo costume will be in by then.
Oh my God! All right, so that's next week. We'll do the what is that one? That's the Return of the
Return
King.
of the King.
The Return of
Oh
the
right,
King.
I did. I watched that one. That's
Yeah,
right.
I know
Yeah,
you
you
did.
said you watched that
Yeah.
already. So.
I
You
did.
said you liked it. You said it was the
I
best out of the
did.
three.
I did. I did enjoy that.
And
one.
you didn't
I
even
can't
watch
get
the
my I can't get my
version.
Sauron costume to work though. It's like a big tower with a big flaming vagina eye, and it doesn't look right on camera yet. So
Yeah, I just
Peter
had
Jackson
a big
did something
flaming
special
vagina.
Can I just watch? Is there someplace I can just go and get the extent?
Yeah, just go on YouTube and look for the deleted scene, the
okay.
extended
Maybe
scene.
I'll do that. Maybe.
there's a movie site. It's called Movie Censorship, and
Yeah.
they'll like side by side show you the difference between the director's cut, the extended edition, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Sometimes with screenshots, and that's especially like something like this isn't just there's an extra 4 scenes. It's like this scene is cut differently, and then they added this and
okay,
like that
no.
kind of stuff. So
Thanks for time. No way. I'm
you
not.
can
doing
see
that.
some of it.
I'm not
But like
doing
some
that.
of the like,
Look.
there's one scene with the voice of Sauron that is
Yeah.
a very powerful scene that like you don't miss it if it's not in there. But that's a whole sequence that's very. very
Which one is
effective, so.
Sauron?
I remember I talked about a tower with a burning vagina
Right.
eye. That's Sauron.
Oh, that's Christopher Lee.
No, that's
No,
Sauron.
that's
Saruman.
I can't
I
tell
don't
if
know why
Ralph's
you're gonna be-
joking or really just being
No, he's not joking. That's the thing.
joking, right?
Which
Yeah,
one
so I'm
is-
trying to be helpful.
Which
By
one?
the way-
Okay, Christopher Lee is what?
Christopher
He's
Lee.
Saruman White.
Who's the who's the Sauron you were talking?
Sauron is
Sauron
the Dark
is the
Lord
ring
that made the
The
ring.
one who made the ring. The one they're.
He's
that wants the
never-
ring
Oh,
back
they got
so
his
he can
finger
look
cut
his-
off at the beginning.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
By the way, Death and
Never-
Gunji is streaming on Prime
Yes.
Sweet.
For free.
for free.
Yes. Well, you have to
Well, you gotta have
subscribe,
Prime
and if you
membership.
don't want to watch it with ads, you have to pay more now. Apparently.
I know it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
On Prime?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to if you don't want any ads on their shows and the movies, unless it's something that you bought. Like I rented My Name Is Khan from Amazon. I didn't have any ads because I paid for that. But everything else will have ads unless you want to pay an extra $2.99 a month.
Wait a minute. You paid for what?
I rented the movie My Name Is Khan.
Yeah.
Just rent the movie.
Oh, I
rented
see.
it for
If you rent it,
$3.99.
right, that's why I didn't
So
have you.
I paid for like I'm going to buy this movie for this time. There are no ads, but
You
I'm
rent-
watching
you-
that show. I'm watching that show Expats, the
Hey,
Nicole
me
Kidman
too.
show, and it's interesting. But now I
They have
started with
ads.
the second episode. Now there's an ad at the beginning, and there's 2 or 3 ad breaks, and it's just I hate it.
Yeah, I'm
And
watching.
by the way, these YouTube videos that we get that get our copyright hits, and they still play ads in front of those.
Yeah, I know.
Of course.
It's
I'm watching a movie, Indian movie on YouTube. It's the only place it's playing, and every 15 minutes there's a 25 to 30 second
dance number.
ad.
A dance number.
No,
Yeah.
an ad.
Oh, an ad. Oh.
And it's like, and you're just not used to it,
Hey, isn't it nice to be back to broadcast TV again?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it costs more than cable.
That's the whole point, right? Yeah. So anyway,
All right. Well, that's a.
Hey, I got
that's
to
a-
tell you something. I have Xfinity, and I got my bill this week and this month, and I was so pissed off at I'm not going to say how much it was because you'd say you're paying that much. That's crazy.
$212.
But, part of it was that our little boy Ian, when he uses the remote, rather than because
that's a little remote you guys have, huh?
He's been paying to buy stuff rather than stuff that we have for
That
free.
happens. My mother-in-law was watching Blue Bloods, and then they switched from what was included to the new episodes. So she bought like 5 of them. So I have a bunch of Blue Bloods episodes from a later season if you guys want to watch them. She was mortified. I just said, it's fine, and it's funny. Don't worry about it.
I was fine, but I decided I had to reduce my cable bill. So I had like a 187 channel plan, and I cut it back to like 127 channels.
I'm so sorry.
And I said, how much of a difference is that? And it's like, oh, it's $20. I'm like, what? $20? And I'm like, I just want to tell you something. This will probably be my last month with you guys because I'm going to cut.
Yeah, wait till you try to quit. It takes forever. They'll never get out.
Yeah, well, when I said I was going to quit, and then they're like, well, wait a minute. I think you may have some specials.
Oh, man.
And then they knocked it down to like another 20.
God, Ralph, this is some of that great banter that you.
This is what I'm
after
talking
the
about,
show's
right?
over.
This is what I'm talking
This is
about.
awesome. I got a new pair of
on the
sneakers
show?
today. They fit
Is the show
really
still-
well.
are we
I got
still
extra
recording?
wide, but they're nice. I really like them.
I tell you what, I'm thinking of now that I've seen Flower of the Killing of the Flower
Moon.
Killers of the
I
Flower
think I
Moon.
may end up canceling because Apple's good, but it doesn't have enough stuff on it to justify it. So
What are you talking about? Masters of the Air just started. Come on now.
Well, I just want another like 8-hour Scorsese film. If they had one every 3 months, I would be. But
All right,
That's what
Ralph.
YouTube is for.
Ralph's getting bored now.
getting
Ralph,
bored.
do a close up on something.
Who wants to say something? I'll go close up on John. Go ahead.
I'll just wait for Killers
Oh.
of the Flower Moon extended edition.
Oh, I missed you. I missed you. I was on John when you said that. Now I'm on Drew. Back to John. Now Chris and Sean, and we'll do one of me.
okay, all I can say is they're giving a lot of praise to Thelma Schumacher, who's a great editor. But I'm like, every review that likes the movie praises her, and I'm like, nah, she sucks. If she was a good editor, this film would be 2.5 hours long. So
Don't
Does anybody else want to tell us your cable bill and how?
I
you
want
were
to see a movie with
negotiating?
Shah Rukh Khan's brother. I didn't even know he was in movies, but that's awesome.
you've seen him, Jimmy Khan. He was like in
my
the
God.
Godfather.
All right.
Martin Sheen's
Rollerball?
brother is in movies. Good stuff. Mr. Estevez.
Estevez.
It can
Let
happen.
me look at the
yeah.
camera. Let me look
Yeah,
directly at the
let's do
camera. We're done. Out.